Hello everyone, welcome to Introduction to NGINX. Today we will learn about what is NGINX, how to use NGINX and what benefits we can get from NGINX. Okay, so what is NGINX? It is basically a web server, reverse proxy or load proxy. Okay, web server, it is a crucial component in the client server model of the World Wide Web. It can refer to both hardware and software that stores, processes and deliver web content to user over internet. When you enter website URL into your browser, it sends HTTP request to web server hosting that website, which then send back the requested web page. Here we have a client which is making a HTTP request over internet, and here we have a server which is sending back the HTTP document as a response. Okay, so now we learn about reverse proxy. Reverse proxy is a server that sits in front of one or more web servers, intercepting requests from client and forwarding them to appropriate web servers. This setup is different from forward proxy, which sit in front of client and forward their request to web servers. Here are some key benefits of reverse proxy. First benefit is load balancing. Reverse proxy can distribute incoming traffic across multiple servers, ensuring no single server becomes overloaded. This helps in managing high traffic volume and provides redundancy in case one server fails. Okay, so suppose we have 5 servers and we are getting too many requests. Suppose it's a peak time and one server is getting too much load and other servers are not getting too much load. If a server getting too much load, it is likely that server cannot handle that many low requests, and at the end server will stop working. Okay, it is really bad for the business which are handling those servers. So solution to this problem is to have a load balancer. Load balancer distribute incoming traffic across multiple servers and it leads to several benefits. Okay, and now we move back to the key benefit of reverse proxy. So first is load balancing, second is protection from attack by hiding IP address. So reverse proxy also hide IP address of the origin server. It makes it harder for attacker to target them directly. This adds a layer of security against attacks such as distributed denial of service. Okay, now we have got another benefit of reverse proxy, that is caching. Okay, reverse proxy can cache content, reducing the load on origin server and speed up the response time for client. This is particularly useful for static content. Okay, so if we set up caching, then we will certainly avoid load on server to certain extent. And now we have another benefit of reverse proxy, that is SSL encryption. So reverse proxy can handle SSL encryption and decryption, offloading this computationally expensive task from origin servers. So if reverse proxy offload this computationally expensive task, then it certainly prevents server from having much load or resource intensive task. So this also provide a benefit to the server and overall to the business. Okay, so here we have an example. We have got certain clients which are trying to access servers via internet, and we have configured a reverse proxy which is doing certain tasks, for example load balancing, SSL offloading of SSL encryption and caching, and it ultimately leads to the performance improvement. Okay, performance improvement and yeah, and evenly distribution of traffic to a larger extent. Okay, here we have got a configuration file of NGINX. It is just a basic example. Here we have to see certain things. First is proxy pass. Here we provide the URL of a backend server. I set up as HTTP : / backend underscore server, but here we can set up some other URL also. Okay, and proxy pass will forward the request to the backend server, and here we have got proxy set header. They are passed along client information to the backend server. Okay, now we discuss a bit in detail about load balancer. What is load balancer? Load balancer is a networking device or software application that distribute incoming traffic across multiple servers to ensure high availability, efficient utilization of resources, and improved performance. To act as a traffic cop, routing client requests to various server to prevent any single server from becoming overloaded. So load balancer basically help in uh, avoiding server overloading. In a simple way, we can understand it like this. And here's we have some characteristics of load balancer. First characteristic is traffic distribution. Load balancer evenly distribute incoming requests among multiple servers, preventing any single server from being overloaded. And it is highly available. It help in high availability. Okay, by distributing traffic across multiple servers, load balancer enhance availability and reliability of application. If one server fails, load balancer redirect traffic to healthy servers. Scalability. Load balancer facilitate horizontal scaling by easily accommodating new servers or resources to handle incoming traffic demand. Okay, so optimization. Load balancer optimize resource utilization, ensuring efficient use of server capacity and preventing bottlenecks. Health monitoring. Load balancer often monitor the health of server, directing traffic away from server experiencing issues or downtime. Okay. SSL termination. Some load balancer can handle SSL/TLS encryption and decryption, offloading this resource intensive task from servers. Now we learn how load balancer works. Load balancers sit in front of your server and distributing incoming traffic across them. When a request arrives, load balancer assign it to one of the servers based on specific algorithm. This process ensures that no single server is overwhelmed with too many requests, thereby improving the overall performance and reliability of the application. Here we have a user, it is accessing a server via internet, and here we have configured a load balancer. If we have many users and they are trying to access one server, that server will be overwhelmed with requests. Okay, to solve this problem, we have configured a load balancer and it evenly distribute traffic across different servers to a certain extent. And here we have server which is accessing a database. So if we need database, then our server will be accessing a database. This is a basic example of load balancing, how load balancing works. Okay, now we talk a little bit about Apache versus NGINX. Okay, because many of us could think that Apache can do the same thing what NGINX do, then why would we need NGINX? So Apache is basically developed by Apache Software Foundation somewhere around 1995. It is known for its flexibility, power, extensive documentation. Apache is often chosen for its ability to handle dynamic content natively thanks to its module system. Okay, so module system is one of the crucial part of Apache, and it is developed by Apache Software Foundation. However, NGINX is created by Igor Sysoviev in 2002. It is designed to address that C10K problem. So C10K problem stands for handling 10,000 concurrent requests. It is asynchronous, event driven, and making it lightweight and efficient. Perhaps Apache was not able to offer these functionalities. That's why NGINX was created to address these issues. Okay, so that's how Apache work. It offer multi-processing modules to handle connections such as npm underscore p for worker event. These modules allow administrator to choose the best method for their need. NGINX is single-threaded event-driven model to handle connections. It spawns worker processes that can handle thousands of connections simultaneously, making it highly efficient under heavy load. So if we have some heavy load issues, in that case NGINX could be really helpful to us. Okay, so we set log level. Logging is really important part of NGINX, and here we have two types of logs in NGINX. First is error log, second is access log. Okay, and we configure it like that. With that, like we can find our logs in this directory. Okay, assuming we have already enabled access and error log in NGINX configuration file. We will also do an example that I will show you how I configured access and error logs. NGINX, okay, what is NGINX access log? NGINX logs the activities of all visitor to your website. Here you can find which files are accessed, how NGINX respond to a request, what browser a client is using, IP address of client, and more. It is possible to use the information from access log to analyze traffic to find sites usage over time. So you can find out different activities happening in your site. For example, how long this site was used, and requesting information, and if some unusual activity is happening in your website, you can also get to know about that information via access log. Okay, and now we talk a little bit about NGINX error log. If we our NGINX encounter any issue or glitches, it records these events in error log. It can happen if there is a mistake in configuration file. NGINX is unable to start or stop or suddenly stop running. Checking error logs will help you to find more details about the problem. You may also notice warning in the error log. While these do not always indicate an immediate problem, they can signal issues which might occur, which might become serious later. So for a step-by-step approach to diagnosing and resolving common NGINX error using error log, so how you can enable NGINX access log? In general, access log can be enabled by access log directive, either in HTTP or in server section. The first argument log file is mandatory, whereas the second argument log format is optional. If we don't specify any format, the logs will be written in default format. So here we can specify it like this, and to enable access log we have to enable it like this in the HTTP section of the NGINX conf file, okay, configuration file basically. So /var log nginx access.log, and same way we configure the error log too. Okay, so that's how we configured it, and if you want to see some logs, then we can see it in the command. Okay, we can pass the command tail -f and the part2 access log file. How to enable NGINX error log? So we can enable NGINX error log like this. Okay, here we set critical, so it will only log only critical issues. Okay, so this will also avoid us to create too big error log file. Okay. Okay, so it is possible to record error log or for all virtual hosts separately by overriding error log directive in server context. Does that by overriding error log directive in the server context. All example described above record the log event to a file. You can also configure the error log directive for sending the log events to syslog. Okay, so in some situation you might want to disable error log. To do that, set the log like this. Okay, in this case we can disable the error log. Okay, okay, so yeah, it's better to do an example, and I forgot to tell one more thing. All the example described above record the log event to a file. You can also configure error log directive for sending the log event to syslog server. The following error underscore log directive sends the error log to syslog server with IP address. So if this IP address is trying to access the system and some errors are happening, then those errors will be recorded into the error log file. Okay. And let's begin with the hands-on. So first we will install NGINX on Ubuntu or Alpine via Docker. Then we serve HTTP HTML app with NGINX, and then we configure access and error logs today. Okay, so first I will start my Docker desktop. So my Docker desktop is already running. I already have NGINX image. Let's see, container is also. So I stop the container. Okay. And I show you some sample. Yeah, here I have got a Docker file which is configured written like this. I set a base image as NGINX Alpine. This is the name of maintainer, it's not too important. Here we are copying the index.html file in this folder of NGINX /user/share/NGINX HTML. Then we copy NGINX conf in here. Then we are exposing it to 8080, and this is our command. This will start the NGINX service. Okay, now I show you this conf file, which is really important part of NGINX. So here we have a user NGINX. Okay, here I have set error log, notice mode. Okay, and then I have a HTTP section. In HTTP section I included MIME type, octet stream. We have got certain log format, and then I configured access log here and error log here in the debug mode. Error log is configured in the debug mode. Okay, and server, here I set up server. It is listening on 8084. Okay, and here is a server example.com, and here is a proxy, that is so this is the IP address of the backend server. Okay, and here we have got headers. Now I start the Docker container, and let's see. Okay, so I have got no containers running. I have already written some commands which I will use to run the NGINX. Okay, so let's see, my Docker container is running. Okay, now I try to access Docker container. Okay, hello TechWala, and this is the page. How I am getting this page? Let's see it. Hello TechWala. Okay, this page is getting getting Docker NGINX tutorial. Okay, so this page is getting loaded here and getting started. Okay, let's see what is happening in the log. Okay, we are getting some issues also. Okay, first thing is, like, I did not configure any Swagger UI, swagger.html, so it must fail. Yes, it is supposed to fail. And what else is happening here? File. Okay. USR share. Okay. Share NGINX and HTML. Here we have got index.html file. So we are doing a basic example today. That's why I did not configure this path. Wait a moment. This path. I did not configure this thing along with NGINX. Perhaps in the next tutorial I will try to configure this thing and show you a detailed example how this is getting forwarded. Okay. But yeah, we can see the log file. Let's see where we have a log file. Okay. Let's see. Do we have nginx.conf? etc. Okay. That we can see it. Yeah, here we have. Here we have a configuration file and okay. So we are able to copy this nginx conf file. We are able to copy this HTML file, and that we are able to see in the container also. Okay. Okay, let's try to understand a little bit about these logs and maybe we can get some more information. Here we have two requests which are failed. Third request is working fine, and our base image is alpine. Okay. Okay. So I think yeah we are done for the basics of Dockerized NGINX tutorial, and thank you very much for watching this video. In the next video I'll perhaps show some more detailed example. Okay, because our task is to do only three stuff and we already did it. We installed NGINX via Alpine, and then we solved the HTML app in the NGINX. We have also enabled access and error logs. So probably in the next tutorial of NGINX I would show you detailed something like this. I would say, yeah, something like this. Like I set up one or two server, then in between there will be a NGINX, and then it will show where the request must be forwarded and how it is getting forwarded. Okay. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video, and in case you like my video, then please like, subscribe and share my video. uh, yeah, and I wish you a very nice day.